Hello everyone, we continue our videos about the Fethullahist terrorist organization and its dirty face. This week we will talk about how the Gulenist terrorist organization is trying to restructure in Turkey after the July 15 coup attempt. If you are ready, here we go. A news that hit the news agencies on July 4th was quite remarkable. A person with an American passport and an American identity card was arrested at Istanbul Airport on the grounds that he was a FETO member, because the camera footage and fingerprints of this person revealed that he was a FETO member named Abdullah Uzundere and that he was a fugitive. Abdullah Uzundere had fled to the United States and tried to come back to Turkey by obtaining American citizenship and passport. This was a FETO method that we had not witnessed before. Did Abdullah Uzundere come to Turkey under orders from FETO? What was he planning to do in Turkey? After this incident on July 4, we shared another news item on July 20 on the FETO Facts account. This time, a FETO operative with a Russian passport, or rather a Russian passport, was caught at Istanbul Airport. This FETO operative had a search record, but he thought he could leave the airport by making his passport in Russian and using Russian words. However, thanks to the security methods at the airport, it was revealed that he was a wanted FETO member, and he was arrested. Two FETO members with American and Russian passports tried to return to Turkey in July and were caught in the process. Following these news, the confessions of a FETO confessor who was captured in 2008 came to the agenda. This FETO confessor was talking about FETO's efforts to re-establish its intimate security structure in the year 2018. And suddenly, with 3 consecutive news reports in July, we were informed that FETO was trying to re-establish itself in Turkey. 7 years have passed since the July 15 coup attempt, and judging by the fugitive FETO members, the members of the terrorist organization have given up on Turkey. They even consider themselves lucky to have left Turkey, because according to them, the FETO terrorist organization has completed all its structuring abroad. In fact, their departure from Turkey seemed to have helped the organization grow. So what happened, and why did members of the FETO terrorist organization start to reorganize in Turkey? Members of the FETO terrorist organization started to come to Turkey from abroad again. Let's start by answering our previous question. Members of the FETO terrorist organization never actually gave up on Turkey. Immediately after the July 15 coup attempt, they looked for ways to reorganize in Turkey. Immediately after the July 15 coup attempt, the head of FETO gave an interview to international media outlets on July 16, which was translated by Yüksel Aslandagan, FETO's lobbyist in the United States, in which he said that he had nothing to do with the coup attempt in Turkey. In that same speech, the same FETO leader said that President Recep Tayyip Erdogan did not actually have a diploma. He was talking about the fact that he actually stole 15% of the votes in the last election. We know that these lies are being repeated by some of the opposition candidates in Turkey. In the same speech, the head of FETO almost challenged FETO by saying that an international commission should be established and that he would abide by whatever this commission decided. Look, he says, I'm not behind the coup, I'm already a young man, and I'm sitting in my house in Pennsylvania. On the same day, on July 16, a man named Gökçe Firat Sulhavali, ostensibly a national socialist, the chairman of a national party, appeared in Turkey. He tried to cover up the crime of the FETO terrorist organization in the July 15 coup attempt by saying that this coup was a controlled coup, this coup was theater, the real coup was carried out by the palace. I have 2 main observations. First, last night we watched the biggest theater in Turkish political history. Immediately after the July 15 coup attempt, members of the FETO terrorist organization took part in the democracy vigils in Turkey with Turkish flags in their hands. They tried to prove that they were not coup plotters. It was revealed a year later that the police chief who searched for Adil Öksüz was a FETO member. In other words, imagine that a FETO member in the police force was in charge of the police unit that searched for Adil Öksüz in Sakarya. Numerous news reports such as this one show that members of the FETO-affiliated terrorist organization tried to restructure in Turkey right after July 15, 2016. We said that the members of the terrorist organization started restructuring activities after the July 15 coup attempt. For this, he first assigned his brother Kudvetin Gulen and then Yusuf Bekmirci, one of his most trusted figures. When Kudvetin Gulen was captured in Izmir in 2006, he came to the forefront as a name involved in the restructuring activities of the terrorist organization in Izmir. He was one of the names who managed the organization's structure in Izmir on behalf of FETO's head. Yusuf Bekmersi, who did not flee abroad after Kudret in Gulen and led the organization in a winning house for years after the July 15 coup attempt, came to the forefront as the biggest FETO operative captured in the operation against the Izmir provincial elder brother. Members of the terrorist organization had been engaged in an Izmir-based restructuring activity. They were once again trying to keep their structures in Turkey together with student houses, under the pretext of supposedly teaching students lessons, tradesman structures and monthly salaries to members of the organization in prison. And one of the most important activities to keep this organization together was to provide food for the members of the organization hiding in the victory houses that the organization started to establish after December 1725, and which are located in almost every province and city in Turkey. While the media often reported that FETO members were arrested for organizing bazaars, those bazaars were actually just organizations to provide the financial means for FETO's victory houses. In these victory houses, important secret imams of the terrorist organization sometimes hid for years and were looking for ways to smuggle themselves abroad, and when they came together with smugglers, they were looking for ways to escape abroad. However, after the July 15 coup attempt, the FETO structure, which had been organized in the form of the organization's executives fleeing abroad for 7 years, started returning to Turkey for the first time in July. So why was Abdullah Uzundere and the FETO operative with a Russian passport sent to Turkey? This FETO operative will now lead the terrorist organization in Turkey. In fact, it is a sign that the organization is having difficulty in finding supernumeraries. In the same way, before some of the senior members of the organization come to Turkey, it is actually an organization to see whether these names will be caught if they come to Turkey, to see whether the organization will use them like rabbits, use them as bait in a sense, bait them in a sense, risk them going to prison, and see whether the executives of the organization that they will send to Turkey in the future will face any problems. Otherwise, Abdullah Uzundere would not think of coming to Turkey with his American passport after meeting with the head of FETO in Pennsylvania. If Abdullah Uzundere, who had acquired American citizenship, had easily passed through Istanbul Airport with his American passport, some of the senior members who had acquired American citizenship would have passed through Istanbul Airport to meet with members of the Fethullah terrorist organization in Turkey and try to restore the organization's structures in Turkey to their former strength. Because for the Gulenist terrorist organization, the organization in Turkey is more important than any other organization in the world. Because if they do not bring enough civil servants into the state in Turkey, if they do not collect enough patronage in Turkey. Prior to the July 15 coup attempt, members of the Gulenist terrorist organization collected nearly 600 million in monthly patronage through their civil servants in Turkey and distributed it within the organization. 7 years have passed since the July 15 coup attempt, and members of the Gulenist terrorist organization have emptied the organization's coffers in a sense by giving monthly salaries to many of the dismissed civil servants, not to mention the fact that they no longer receive salaries. Today, in order for the Fethullah terrorist organization to continue, in order for it to continue for the next 5 to 10 years, it needs to infiltrate the state cadres again by coloring the restructuring in Turkey with different names, by having different views, sometimes by pretending to be anti-nationalist, sometimes by pretending to be nationalist, sometimes by pretending to be a member of another congregation. If they fail to achieve this infiltration, one of the organization's main arteries, which we detailed in the video on FETO's black money, the Himmet organization will completely collapse. They will not be able to pay monthly salaries to the members of the organization in Algeria. This is because members of the Fethullah terrorist organization paid monthly salaries to FETO members in Algeria after the July 15 coup attempt. The FETO members who were captured in the Ghazi Turgut Aslan operations today are the names who paid monthly salaries to the members of the organization in Algeria and ensured that they did not speak out. In other words, as FETO members claim, they are arresting people for depositing money from ATMs. When we look at the news that they are arresting people for helping a mother, it will be revealed that all 4 of that mother's children are FETO members. One of them is a FETO member who infiltrated the Mill Intelligence Organization. One is a FETO member who is a military officer, and one is a FETO member who infiltrated the police force. In other words, FETO has to re-establish an organization in Turkey in order to maintain its monthly salaries. And at the head of this organization, there is a need for names who can manage the organization. And now that these names have been captured in Turkey, Yusuf Pekmekele, Mustafa Özkan's children, the nephews of the head of FETO, since high-level FETO members, such as the brother of the head of FETO and the former chief imam of Kuleli Military High School, were captured after the July 15 coup attempt, it is now necessary for the fugitive FETO members abroad to come to Turkey. And in order for them to be able to move freely when they arrive in Turkey, they should not have to deal with any security problems when they pass through the airport. For this, members of the Fethullahist terrorist organization may have lured Abdullah Uzundera and sent him to Turkey with his American passport. And if this name had easily passed through the airport, FETO's secret imams, who do not appear on the screens much, they come to Turkey with American or British passports or German passports. They were going to continue their organizational activities. However, thanks to the attention of the police at Istanbul Airport and the security measures at the airport, this plan of FETO collapsed. The statements made by members of the Fethullahist terrorist organization on social media, such as, "We have given up on Turkey, we can continue as Turkey wishes, we are very good abroad." In order for the Fethullahist terrorist organization to sustain itself, it needs to rebuild itself in a way close to its former strength in Turkey. Because in order for the organization not to collapse financially, it needs regular monthly donations from civil servants it will infiltrate into state cadres and regular monthly donations from businessmen. In order to provide this, the Fethullahist terrorist organization will continue its restructuring activities, sometimes in the form of university preparation camps, sometimes in the form of current university structures, some of which were detained. They will look for ways to rationalize that you are detaining university students. It is a pity and a sin. What is wrong with these people other than having a picnic? The Fethullahist terrorist organization will not miss any opportunity it finds to pour its poison in Turkey again. The Fethullahist terrorist organization will not miss any opportunity to continue its structuring in Turkey. Sometimes it will get politicians close to it to talk. Sometimes it will try to pave the way for restructuring in Turkey with different identities, with coloring and pretense. But every time he will find millions of people in Turkey who hate the Fethullahist terrorist organization. We will continue to explain the dirty face of the Fethullahist terrorist organization, the conspiracies the organization has been involved in, the organization's intimate structure and its leaders. To support us, don't forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel, turn on your notifications for new videos, and share this video on your social media accounts. Thank you for your support.